Hey, how are you? This is Aaron McKay back with another installment of Ask the Expert. Really happy to be with you today. And once again, I am joined by my esteemed colleagues, Jeff Watts and Bryan Donoho. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Tremendous.
So has this week's pandemic fun been more enjoyable or less enjoyable for you?
I think we're just getting used to it. Used to the new norm there, aren't we?
Yeah, for me it's better. As this progresses, you start to find new ways for interaction. So I have a body pillow I talk to pretty regularly now. It helps pass the time a little bit.
Oh, I'm sure all of us have those really
man.
funny, awkward stories.
I can't wait to get back to normal.
Thanks for breaking that
Get
to
You're
us.
welcome. You're welcome.
Get on the road.
So today we're going to be talking about wildlife control and bird control. I think a lot of times people see them as two different industries that are going in two different directions, but in our experience, the wildlife control industry and pest and bird control have really started to come together. There's a lot of synergy or connection points. So maybe if you're joining us today and you're part of the wildlife control industry, take a look at bird. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. I know Bryan specifically spends a fair bit of time talking with people in the wildlife sector. So how you want to kick us off?
Where to start? There's a lot that can be said about the wildlife industry. As a whole, I really enjoy working with them. I enjoy working with wildlife operators. I myself love nature, love fishing, outdooring, hunting, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So naturally, I tend to gravitate towards wildlife control operators. And they're very good at what they do. Mm-hmm. And tying into bird control, if you can trap a badger or some sort of mammal, right, you can certainly put out bird control products.
Right.
So I enjoy working with them, and a lot of times they're kind of smaller scale, so you get to work closer with them. It's a more intimate relationship. You get to know them, and they're more than capable. I attended the Wildlife Expo in Vegas this year. It was my first time going, and I had a great time, met a lot of great people, and just enjoyed the atmosphere. And it's a market I'd like to grow with Bird Be Gone, and I'd like to reach further. I know that we are present in the wildlife market, but I'd like to grow it. I think we have some products and services that we can really give to the wildlife industry to help them grow, to help you grow your business, and it's something that I'm making it a personal point to do myself. Jeff, you've been doing this longer than I have. What's your take on the evolution of kind of how wildlife has played into the bird control world?
It's just a natural fit. I mean, the guys have they're already up there excluding and doing it. They're finding different weak spots. They're getting up where the issues are. So it's completely, it should go hand in hand. I mean, birds are wildlife, so they should be handled as such.
Right.
And the guys that are doing wildlife right now, the good ones have that experience as far as their carpenters, their woodworkers. They as you'll see in bird control, and we talk about it all the time, every job is different, right? So you have to think outside the box. You have to be handy. Sometimes you don't use our products. You just got to get her done, right? Whatever you got in the toolbox, you need to throw up there. Obviously you want to use the right products for the job, but a lot of times you have to be creative and fabricate things or do things like that. So that's where these guys excel at that part.
I agree.
Already. They're the biggest challenge really for these guys would be the scale, right?
Right. Manpower.
Residential, no brainer. Things you can knock out in a couple days, no brainer. Right. You're doing a 100,000 square foot Amazon warehouse. Right. You're either going to have to hire people or sub it out or grab some buddies type of deal. So that's the thing is the scale. The larger projects, guys are a little bit slow to get into. But any of the smaller, especially residential, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think the thing that I really enjoy working with guys in the wildlife industry is most of these guys are really intelligent and they're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yes.
the definition of their job is every single day I'm faced with a new problem,
Right.
and I need to solve it.
Right.
So, being around bird control, oftentimes I'll have a conversation with someone in the wildlife industry that they'll come up with a new solution I've never heard of.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yep.
Because they are so creative and so intelligent. So, personally, I enjoy working with people in the wildlife space. And I think that both of you guys have already called out the natural connection between wildlife control and bird control.
And they're really the source of some of our new products, our new tweaks. The guys out in the field seeing this firsthand, what works, what doesn't work, and they're giving us ideas to make products better.
Yeah.
Right. Very, very aware of what's going on. Very aware of different elements that go into pest control.
Yeah.
And Jeff mentioned it. They're very creative. In that room in Vegas, there was a whole lot of creativity flowing through there. Because man, the ideas I heard were just brilliant. And it's really neat to see that because we're a manufacturing business too, so we are constantly producing new ideas, new bird control products. So to be in a room with people, with like-minded people, is a privilege, and to work with them is a privilege. And yeah, like Aaron said, I learn things all the time from talking with people in the wildlife industry. So it's a relationship I love. It's a relationship I want to grow. It's an industry I want to grow, and that sums it up from my perspective.
Yeah.
They're great at what they do.
Yeah, so for those of us that are maybe joining the call and they're doing wildlife work right now, and they're never thought about doing bird control before, how would you encourage them to take that next step?
I think one of the biggest barriers is, like Jeff said, is scale. I think a lot of wildlife operators and companies. Now, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm saying generally private. Owned businesses are on the smaller scale, and that's by design, and that's great, and they do a very good job. And when presented with a large, let's say 10, 15,000 square foot warehouse, it can be tough, especially if only one of them knows how to do bird work. So I would say that it's important for the person at the top to either know how to do bird work or have a consultant that they can work with that can kind of teach on the fly.
Yeah.
We train people all the time on site, and we're able to train them within a few days, but we know exactly what to teach them on these jobs. And I think it would be beneficial just to have somebody who really knows the ins and outs of bird netting, flat track, putting up spike, the basic elements that can kind of teach on the fly. If you need to hire additional help for large jobs, if you don't, you can just have your core people who know how to do it, who know how to install. And we'll say netting just as a general term because that seems to be the most challenging all the time. The other stuff kind of falls into place.
Yep.
But if I were giving any advice to a wildlife control operator and owner, I would say make sure that you have a technician who knows how to install net, who knows how to bid net jobs, who knows how to teach net installation. Because if you have a good teacher, you can produce other technicians moving forward. So that's what I would say if you're thinking about getting into it.
Yeah.
Well, I would take take a step back. Obviously, do some of the other use some of the other products, those entry level products that we talked about.
That's a good point.
We talked about the solar mesh before, getting the birds from underneath those panels. We have some new products like the avian block and the Spectrum V gel. That are easy to use, cover large areas, so it doesn't require a lot of labor on projects like that. That gets your feet wet as far as talking to those customers that need the bird issues, handle those calls. But when you get into the netting, like you're talking about, it is a different animal than a lot of the exclusion work these guys are already doing, right? They're using hardware cloth, wire mesh, other vents and guards and ridge guards and things of that nature it's completely different than netting. So it is a different
well, I want to emphasize what
curve.
you just said. Use the entry-level products first, and I should have led with that. I should have said that first because, yes, there are many other products that are a lot easier to install that are probably more common than bird netting, but my head immediately goes to the most challenging aspect of bird work, which is netting. So what Jeff said sums it up.
I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm very confident these guys can pick it up quicker than most as far as installing net. I'm just saying it's a whole different process, with our perimeter cable and pulling that and stuff instead of screwing in, brackets and everything like that too. So that's all. There's different components, and there's some tips and tricks that you'll learn over time. But yes, it's not rocket science. These guys are going to knock it out quickly. As far as pricing concerns and access, doing work off a ladder, sometimes you have to do work from a ladder, but some of these other larger warehouse projects and stuff like that, we're going to be doing lifts and having multiple hands up there, which they're not accustomed to doing. That's all.
But again, I think in that wildlife industry, because they are so used to providing physical exclusion services, they're used to thinking in 3 dimensions.
True.
So I think they learn netting and the more complex stuff probably at a faster clip.
Yes.
Than other segments or industries. But I think that freeway analogy is a great analogy, right? So if you're in the wildlife sector, you've never done bird control, just think about that on-ramp. How do you get up to the speed you need to? Use those easy-to-use products that don't require a lot of technical capability. Things like the Avian Block or the Spectrum V, where you literally just set it on a ledge or you hang it on a hook. It doesn't take much more work than that. And then as you get more familiar talking about birds and bidding out bird control jobs, you can graduate up to the slow lane and do some spike, and then merge over into the faster areas and start doing some bird jolt flat track. And then if you feel comfortable and confident with us as your support team, you can get into that fast lane and do some network and really have some fun flexing your creativity. So
that's a great way to put it. I like that on ramp analogy there. That was good. That's a good way to look at it.
So yeah, I know we mentioned the Avian Block and the Spectrum V, 2 brand new products for us. So maybe one of you guys take a minute to talk about Avian Block a little bit, because I'm really, really excited about it as a product in general.
Well,
I am too. You want the honors, Jeff?
As far as Avian Block, I know you, Aaron, have gone already have done several little webinars introducing that product. So we don't have a half hour or so to talk about that today, right? Do we? But no,
you can check out that webinar.
Well, it is obviously a new product, but an old technology. It's not even technology; it's an old product. The active ingredient is methylanthranoate in that product, right? So methylanthranoate has been in the industry for decades now, mostly in a liquid form. With your turf spray, the migrate, the goose deterrent to what do they call it? The fog forest back in the day, right? We call it avian control now. We even have EcoBird in liquid forms that we're using in thermal foggers to rid birds out of structures and out of trees and things of that nature. But now, and we even have it we put it in our hazers now, so we can program that on some buildings as well. So this is just a dry version of that. So methylanthranoate is a grapeseed extract, and it affects the trigeminal nerve of feathered friends, right?
Can you
for
say
the
that
most
3
part.
times fast?
No, I won't do that again. I'm surprised I got that far. But,
you hit that clean.
anyways, no, it acts on their senses. Breathing that product in, getting their mucous membranes and everything like that. It's a very strong irritant to birds, more so than other animals such as humans. But so they can't stand that product. So the problem with the liquid version, it's always been in methods that we had to make it fine enough to keep it airborne, so the birds are absorbing it into their system, and the wind would just play havoc with it. So it's very difficult the challenge has always been getting the product where it needs to be. The birds actively ingesting it, inhaling it into their bloodstream. So the good thing about this dry product is it's always on. It's always emitting. So even if it's a windy day or a rainy day or whatever, it's still there, active. Doesn't cover a large area, only about a 10 by 10 by 10 area, right? Yep. About 1,000 cubic feet. But it's not visual. It's not a noisemaker, but it helps us cover some of these large open areas that we couldn't treat with physical deterrents. Yeah, I think that's the main benefit of that product.
In my mind, for wildlife operators, here's what it is. This is a wildlife operator's dream. This is a dream. It is an easy product to install. Right. If you have a customer who has a sparrow over their walkway, Avian Block. You have birds giving you problems in trees, Avian Block. You have them congregating on the top of a roof, chimney, Avian Block. It's easy. You can go back, you can replace it every 3 months, 6 months. We have 2 different types of it. So it is a good on-ramp product
Yep.
for wildlife operators.
Great recurring revenue,
It's
too.
unique. It's recurring revenue. It's effective. You know, Aaron, he's worked very hard to get this product where it is, and it's just taken off. You're going to see it a lot more. So I recommend it. I recommend just having it with you. I know a lot of wildlife operators carry hardware cloth with them, or some metal flashing to cover up holes that rodents leave. Well, you can treat avian block like that. If you're at a house for some other reason and you see a small bird problem, avian block. It's an easy add-on and a maintenance contract. So I think this is a very, very important tool to wildlife operators in the wildlife industry.
I think we're getting off track here, but I have guys that are swearing by it with woodpeckers. They're having a great job, especially in the Northeast.
Yes.
They're just killing it with woodpecker business.
And we get a lot of woodpecker calls.
And woodpeckers are more seasonal, so they're only have to put it up once or twice a year.
Right.
So those birds move on after that first initial bit of that. So it works really well on those birds too. But it is working great on all species of birds. But I know woodpeckers, which is a big
that's a big one.
You know, especially for wildlife guys experiencing that.
Yeah, so with avian block specifically, to wrap up our conversation, it's a super easy on-ramp. So if you're part of the wildlife segment, never explored birds, a great place to start. You can set it and forget it. You don't need to see it to know that it's working. It's working 24/7. And like Bryan said, I think your comment about having some on the truck is a huge opportunity, because oftentimes when you get that call, hey, I have a bird problem, you have your initial mobilization cost. It takes you time, effort, and money to go out to that job site to see what the problem is. And if you can solve it first visit, you can actually bring the overall cost of your job down. The likelihood of you closing it is much, much higher versus having to schedule time in the future to come back. So, and it's a small bag. Right,
Great point.
It's super easy to have in your truck, and you can solve most bird problems first call. So appreciate the time today, guys. I'm sure we'll be back here really shortly to have another conversation.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yep, you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.